Alright, so today I platinumed Alan Wake 2. A while back, the devs that made this game sent me a copy of the DLC and I got all the trophies inside of that. But I never even tickled the main game. And Alan Wake 2 has quite the story to experience, which is why today I wanted to piss my pants in fear of good writing. The game has a giant trophy list containing 67 total trophies including the platinum. There isn't any missable trophies however because you can do chapter select after the story, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't try and get all the collectibles in one run since there's over 130 of them. Good God above, we are in for today. This is also a part of my challenge to platinum pretty much every single notable single player game that I haven't already before I hit 100,000 subscribers because I have no life, so make sure to drop a like and subscribe. So stage 1 is to collect every collectible and just beat the game in general. It's pretty simple. I also did somehow get a trophy for the main game while playing the DLC, so that's odd. But the game opens up with you actually just walking around as a fat, obese, naked gray man, so you know, we aren't gonna show any of that. Thank you so much, Remedy Entertainment. Why must you do this to me? But eventually a bunch of scary shadows kill us and we must be schizophrenic because the shadows are quite literally attacking us right now. Long story short, we died and I got a trophy. Anyways, the game then really begins with the two main characters it actually follows throughout, that being this girl we play as, which is cool. Don't we all just love women? And then this Giga Chad next to us who looks like his face could be drawn pretty easily. But yes, you heard me right, this game doesn't really follow Alan Wake around. Probably because his story arc is just him losing his mind the whole time. But once we stepped out of the FBI car, we got another trophy. Our goal here, by the way, is to investigate a dead body thought to be a murder, and that body is the fat gray one that we just played as. Also, they totally had his wiener out on full display, which I don't appreciate at all. Eventually though, after doing some detective work, which is actually a giant part of this game, you get sent off to look in other places for clues. I also took this as my chance to get some collectibles around the area because the game is pretty open world, which is sort of neat. Like, you don't actually have to do anything related to the objective unless you want to. So I got a trophy right here from opening my first cult stash. This is just a little chest where the cult leaves items for other ritualistic murder goers, and it's super wholesome really. I then got another collectible trophy after when I picked up my first manuscript page. These are little insights into the story because in the Alan Wake universe, if you're aware, Alan Wake writes out stories that somehow have bled into reality and changed reality. Almost always for the worse though, so that's sad. After inspecting the body fully back on the job, we came to the conclusion that whoever killed the gray man put something inside him where his heart should be, because they ripped out his heart and just left it there. So we took the body back to the morgue and we found a page inside of his chest. The sheriff here saw this and a light bulb flicked on inside of his dull redneck mind, and he remembered this case from years ago also had pages just like this. And he was about to give us a super important one, but then he got snapped out of reality. Now that's crazy. The dead dude also woke up without a heart, but come on, vanishing is much cooler. That's what I'm saying. So the dead guy then also did vanish to keep up with trends, and I got another trophy. We then went back to Cauldron Lake, which is the lake next to the town, that being Bright Falls, and in the forest trying to track down the gray guy, I got a trophy once I healed for the first time because there is now lots of enemies out and about. I then walked into the general store out here, which is kind of abandoned, probably because there was a giant moose man cultist sitting in it that sort of destroyed the place in his weak effort of killing me. How long were you waiting there for? I gotta know. But inside the general store, I found my first backpack upgrade, which gives me more inventory and a trophy. There was also the sawed-off shotgun here, which is the first weapon trophy and just weapon in general you find within the game. These weapons, by the way, are used to kill people easier, which is why we like to find more of them. Oh yeah, and I eventually found the gray dude. Turns out he was just wading around in the swamp like a true fiend of water. But while fighting him, I broke his darkness shield, and I guess I hadn't done that yet, so here's a trophy from doing that. I also then just shot at or just hit his source point. Every enemy has these, and it's like a critical point of damage that also gave me a trophy. Anyways, this fight against him lasted a while, and we went into a place called the Overlap, which is like a tiny little hallway of sorts that just loops infinitely and gives me the spooks. However, he got tired of the chase and just grabbed us by the throat. But not all girls like this, so we got mad and killed him, which gave us a trophy. You then get to watch a cutscene with the girl seeing things in a dark place, which is super goofy. Just admit you have a mental illness. No need for this much coping. Come on now, it's 2024. Oh yeah, after that, the world kind of changed a bit because Alan Wake washed up on the lake shore and a ton of things in the environment changed with that. We also got a trophy, so that's, you know, awesome. But that was sort of the last thing in this chapter before heading back to Bleak Falls to end it off and move on to the next one, which is why I then had to go and just run around the entire map collecting everything I could right now. And the first thing I got a trophy for was equipping 3 charms at once, maxing out the charm bracelet. You get charms for doing these super weird doll puzzles, which in different lighting would make me very scared for my life. I also used upgrade materials gotten from lunchboxes around the game to upgrade a weapon for the first time, and here's that trophy. And I didn't get get any trophies for a while after because the story got kind of long, and also this is where we did our first of many, and sadly many, Alan Wake invitation missions. He has like 10 of these in the game, and they are all extremely boring and confusing. You pretty much just run around in the dark parts of the world with no clue what's happening. It's actually quite awful, I'm not gonna lie. But you do get a trophy after finishing each one of them, so whatever. I also got a trophy while playing as Alan for finding a flashlight in the dark place, and then for using that flashlight to shine a light on the words of Power Circle or something silly. And we actually did play as Alan for quite a while here in the flow of the story because I mean the game is named after him. And also it kind of is all about the dark place, which is where Alan sort of still is and where all of his missions take place. But there is of course enemies here, so I killed one and got my 5th headshot of the day for a trophy. Oh yeah, and I finally managed to figure out what the hell you do with all of the puzzles down in the underground of New York, which is where we are. And that made the dark presence angry and it started to chase after us. But when we escaped it by just going through a little crack in the wall, I got another trophy. And then Alan walked in on a room with that one dude from the intro, which made him lose his mind more, and also ended the invitation mission again, and we got another trophy. But God, we weren't quite done with Alan here because he still had another little tiny chapter for us to play, which had us go find his old apartment, and inside hopefully had Alice there, his long lost lover. But there was no Alice, just videos of her also losing her mind. God, we were such a perfect couple. I then got 2 trophies for finishing that invitation chapter, and just for something I honestly don't know, this game is already confusing me. But we did finally return to play as the girl again, which it's weird because the game should be about Alan Wake, yet I actually enjoyed this girl's story way more than Alan's, so that's kind of disappointing. But playing as her, we had to, as usual, walk through the scary forest to get to a location of importance. On the way, I found a crossbow, which was another trophy. I also finished another doll puzzle thing, which gave me a trophy because I've done so many of them for collectibles. And then I used that crossbow on a wolf that was running at me to eat my face, got him in one shot, and got a trophy. And I finally reached the location I was after in this chapter of the story, that being Coffee World, an entire amusement park themed around coffee. Actually kind of sick, I can't lie. This place would go hard if anyone actually maintained it whatsoever. But while here, I got a trophy from shooting this bear who had his hands up. Average American police moment.
What did he say?
I then had to find something to break open a lock in a door needed for the story, and you do it by finding a screwdriver, which is the best lock opening tool in the game and also a trophy. And a while later, I ended up in another overlap after doing many puzzles to get there. But inside, we had to fight 2 evil cult members, and they also had a little puzzle within the overlap so we could stop them from respawning. But after I did take them both out, barely, might I add, I got a trophy as you would expect. We then saw another goofy cutscene that made no sense, and I got a trophy for that chapter's completion. Oh yeah, and the story then swapped over to Alan and our partner who were under fire from cultists at the cabin. Long story short, there was absolute chaos, a lot of blood, and I found a shotgun on the ground which gave me a trophy. Oh, and this actually led to like nothing because the FBC showed up, which is like the FBI just with more money and power. What a great combo. And they sort of took over the investigation and Alan from us. But I got another trophy, so things could be going worse. We got to play as the girl again, by the way, and I upgraded one of my weapons to max, which gave me a trophy. Her story here all took place in a nursing home, which is kind of spooky. Old people already give me the creeps, I can't lie. But I got a load of trophies in this part of the game. First was from me finding a rifle. Not sure why a nursing home has one, but okay. And then literally a minute later, I got jumped by my first double reality enemy. This is an enemy that has like 2 versions of itself, so it's kind of weird. But it grabbed me and I used a flare to fend it off, which was a trophy. And also I got another trophy for just using a flare in general. 30 minutes later of me pissing my pants and doing puzzles I had no clue how to do, I found some bolt cutters, which are a key story item and collectible getting tool, which was a trophy. Oh yeah, we also fought this old lady who got taken by the evil spirits, but don't worry, she won't be harassing any more teenage fast food workers, so it's honestly a good deed. That was also the conclusion of the chapter, and I got another trophy. I then did my usual free roam collectible run after, before moving on to the next chapter, and during it I got jumped and used this like exploding flare thing, which is insanely good, and also a trophy for the first time you use it on an enemy. I then ended up running out of flashlight here for one of the only times in the story, because when you're cleaning up the collectibles, you actually encounter more enemies than in the normal story. But I threw a flashbang at this like wall dark presence thing, which I guess was an enemy, and I got a trophy for using a flashbang on an enemy. And after that, I found the last doll in the game for a collectible trophy. I then used all of the dolls in this last puzzle for them to finish up a little side story lore thing within the game. I'm not sure exactly what doing all of those puzzles did, but it was a few trophies, so whatever. I also found another shotgun for another trophy, found my last cult stash in the game, and then we actually got the boss battle Scratch, who is the name Alan Wake gave to the dark presence, but Scratch is actually just Alan Wake with the dark presence, so there is no double, it's just Alan Wake being possessed. Anyways, Anyways, it's super confusing, but the fight was simple. All you have to do was shoot him until he got stunned, then turn on a powerful light. Once all of them were on, it fried the guy, and it's all peaceful for now. I then did one of my last sweeps of collectibles by going back to Watery and actually just petting the mayor of the town, which is a dog. Does it get better than this? I don't know. That dog also gave us a charm, which was another trophy, by the way. And this is the ending of the girls storyline within the Alan Wake 2 game. Basically, we got this big summoning event to happen by the lake to try and draw out the dark presence and a lot of taken enemies. It just had us fight them for a long time, and actually nothing happened. We just fought and fought and fought before it ends kind of suddenly, and we swap back to play as Alan Wake finally. But this is also when the game just gets bad. You have to play out so many chapters with Alan here, and they all have such ridiculously stupid puzzles and secrets in them. Some of the most confusing and non-obvious objectives you have to do, and I had to search up so many guides on how to just play the game because I had no clue what the hell was happening. It was so bad, like it was actually awful. And in my confusion, I couldn't even focus on what was actually going on, so I'm not going to even go through these. They all just collectively sucked and made this good game not seem so great after all, sadly. I did get lots of trophies here though, as you have been seeing them just pop up on your screen. That is hours of suffering, by the way, shoved into like 30 seconds of dialogue. You're welcome, I do this for you, cutie pie. But after all of his missions, or at least most of them, we did return to play as the girl, picking up at the lake because the dark presence is now here. So we had to battle him for a while. It was actually kind of hard. In conclusion though, we tried to trap him in this cage and it didn't work because the dark presence swapped over to our partner, so that's unfortunate. But I got 2 more trophies added into the spiel, so it's fine. We played as Alan again in this weird alternate world after, and managed to find the last TV commercial for another collectible trophy. These, by the way, are hilarious, and I enjoyed watching them completely. Anyways, there was then another dumb, silly, goofy, confusing Alan mission that we all love so much, and here's the trophy from it. Anyways, the game then reached its end with the girl finally in the dark place herself. We did a similar thing as to what Alan has been doing for the last 3 hours, but once you find the way out, you get a trophy, and then there is just cutscenes ending the game off for good, leaving us on yet again another cliffhanger. But here's that final story trophy. I was missing 3 trophies though, so I went back for a cleanup and got them all within 10 minutes on a chapter reload. The first one was from me using the flashlight boost on a fast enemy and stopping them from moving. I then tried to get a trophy from doing a perfect dodge, but instead I got a trophy from dying because I failed so many times and being brought back with the coffee charm. And then my final trophy was from doing a perfect dodge, which by the way you can only do on an enemy who is charging you. Would have been great to know that before I tried for 10 minutes and failed. So here's that final trophy and the platinum trophy pop right along with it. That was the Alan Wake 2 platinum trophy experience. Overall the game was okay. I personally didn't like it as much as the first one. I just felt like they tried so hard with this game's story and leaned into it really just looking good, opposed to it actually having a cool storyline. Like if we're being honest, all that really happened was we went to like 3 houses, fought a few enemies, and then Alan wandered around in the dark for 6 hours. It was just not it in my opinion. But the game did play great still, so I'm going to give Alan Wake 2 a solid 6 out of 10. Would be a lot higher if I didn't have such high expectations from already being a fan from the first game, but it's okay. So yeah, that's all. Thanks for watching. More videos soon, and I'm going to be streaming on the second channel here, so make sure to subscribe to that, and I'll see you guys later.